All right, so I'm excited to have Mario Arace with Babam Inspirations, and thank you for taking some time here today to be on the show, man. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, so the first question I love to ask is championship leadership is the name of the podcast, and it's a little bit of a unique name, and so curious what you think of or what's present for you when you hear championship level or championship leadership.
Well, first off, everybody wants to be a champion, but in order to do so, you have to be a leader. I think many people define the term leader in many different ways. But, to me, leadership is about creating other leaders. It's about taking ownership. It's about giving credit where credit's due. It's about taking responsibility if something goes wrong, even if it was someone who is working with you, someone that you're trying to make a champion and become a leader. It's really taking ownership of everything. That's what to me, that's what a true leader does. I mean, there's a big discrepancy between, for instance, in the corporate world, they have managers, which they refer to themselves as leaders. Not all of them are leaders, because they don't, if you have to go around and tell people what to do, you are a manager. But if those people are doing and you're leading by example, they don't come to you. They're coming to you and telling you, hey, this needs to be fixed. I need these resources. They come to you as a true partner. To me, that's when you are a true leader.
Yeah, I love it. And so talk to me a little bit about that. I know you have you have a lot of corporate experience. And have you had experience with, what I hear you talking about is a little bit of like leadership's definitely a title, but just because you have the title doesn't mean you're actually a leader, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, have you had some experience, good or bad, with those that were in the leadership position but really weren't necessarily leading, and then or vice versa, like just some great leaders that have impacted you in your life?
I mean, look, there are good leaders and bad leaders. I've experienced bad leaders, and the bad leaders were the ones who would just literally pick up the phone and call you, not even speak face to face, and say, how come we didn't hit this quota? How come we didn't hit this number? How come this person's underperforming? How come? And they want to know, and then they try to give you ideas on how to fix it. Well, you can't give me ideas on how to fix it unless you're in the trenches with us. I like to see leaders in the trenches. My greatest leaders have been the ones that sat side by side, and they went through the battles with us. I mean, everything I've ever been involved in, even in the corporate world, has been very entrepreneurial. So the greatest leaders were the ones who basically said, what can I do to help bring you from A to B? Not, I want you to get to A to B, but what can I do? How can I I want to be a part of it. I want us to be leaders together. And when a leader sees what most managers see as subordinates, when they see their people as peers and leaders as well, that's where it becomes infectious. And that's where they change your mindset to believe, hey, I am a leader. I truly am a leader, and I'm going to take ownership of this. And, a lot of times, even me, when I was running desks, I mean, there were people, even though I had the title of managing director or head of the desk, I mean, there were people that I looked to as leaders and that was a testament to me because I created that leader and I allowed them the freedom to take ownership and truly become a leader. And they were a large part and a large percentage of the responsibility for us growing and scaling the way we did. So some people aren't born leaders. Some people probably never will be a leader, but that's something you have to weed out. You have to understand who those people are. And you also have to talk to them in a much different way.
Yeah, well, that's a big piece, right? I mean, the championship level leaders realize that you can't talk to everybody the same way. You can't communicate to everyone the same way. Certain people react differently to different forms of communication, and to to have the vision to be able to see that and know that. Yeah, I think number one, it comes with experience, right? But also it's just not everybody can recognize that. The great leaders do. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, great leaders adapt. So you have to adapt not only in every business situation, but when you're dealing with somebody who is on your team, you know, you've got to talk to each, you've got to communicate to each person differently. Not everybody is going to take your message the right way. Me, I'm a very wound up individual. I'm very, I like to use the word inspired. The term motivation doesn't really strike me, but I like leaders that are inspiring. And you have to know that not everybody is going to take your message and be inspired in the same way. But if you can identify that and you can, like I said, adapt to each individual you're talking to, that is what makes you a leader, because you bring them together. It's like a general on the battlefield. I mean, if one soldier is not congruent with the team, you lose the war because of one person. And that leader has to understand everybody has to be on the same page. They have to be in the same mindset, and they have to have the same vision. And vision is very important for a leader.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk to the listeners out here that don't know you. What, a little bit about your background and, coming from the corporate world to what you did to where you're headed and what you're doing right now with BABAM.
Yeah, so I was inspired with BABAM, something I've been saying for a long time. I was in.
Let's start there. Where did that come from?
That came from, as a child. I was a big Batman fan, and everything. They had the BAM.
Oh yeah.
And then I would watch the Flintstones right after Batman, and it was Bam Bam. So I came up with BAM, and I made my own. So it was interesting, but 25 years in the corporate world, like I said, very entrepreneurial type business that I did run. It was a global business. Started 5 a.m, ended at 5 p.m. So it was really 24 hours. But automation and technology came in and really took away my passion. And I went through a period staying in the seat with my team, and I started doing a lot of research on automation and technology. I mean, that's what a leader does. You got to find out, are these people safe? And I found out that they weren't. And regardless of the service that we were providing, regardless of how we were allowing our clients to improve their business, it came down to dollars and cents. So when automation allowed our clients to transact in a much cheaper way, everything I wanted to do and all the changes that happen in a regulatory fashion, everything that I loved doing, everything that I was so passionate about to make every day so different, all of a sudden, every day was just the same. And my passion was sucked out of me. And never in my life would I have thought that I myself would be alive walking around dead inside. And, that's a terrible feeling, because that's not living, that's just existing.
Yeah.
So it took me a while, to transition. I transitioned to another part of the business where I was able to be entrepreneurial again. But I knew, and I let all my people know, and now I'm taking a leadership role to really try to awaken as many people as possible as to how quickly this world is changing and how they must adapt. There are just too many people, Nate, that are walking around this world and they are so miserable. They are so miserable. I would say that out of all the people that I've interviewed, 95% cannot define happiness or what happiness is to them. Look, happiness is different to everybody, but my mission, my goal, and why I'm starting the BABAM Show podcast and why I want to do more speaking engagements is to have that engagement with people and have them recognize what they have to do and how they have to shut all the noise off of society and to really, really start listening to themselves. It's interesting because, one of the things as a leader, I hear people say all the time, I have to find myself. And I say, no, that's not what you want to do. I'm not saying it's fact, but I'm telling you, here's what I did. I found out what I did not want to be. I found out what I did not want in my life. And so through the process of elimination, you get rid of all the toxic people, the toxic situations you put yourself in. And then by default, you find out exactly what your true passion is. And if you think about that, not only are you saving time, but you're dialing down exactly what you don't want to bring into your life what you do want. So that was my mission. That's become my mission. I'm very passionate about it. I think you can tell that. But it's something where I really want to reach as many people as possible, because if I reach 1,000 people, those 1,000 people are going to reach people as well. And if this message spreads and it continues on, then everybody is going to take leadership of their own life. And to me, I want to create champions. I mean, I'm on this podcast because it has that identity. I mean, your focus is on championship leadership. And, you know, those two words, when they come together, it's a totally different meaning. There are champions that are not leaders, and there are leaders that are not champions. But if you can be a champion leader, man, you've won the game.
I love it, man. Yeah, I love that. And well, let's talk. You know, I mean, you talked a lot about figuring out what you don't want so that you can really get clear on what it is that you want. And I love that because, you know, as a coach with the clients that we have, one of our first questions is, one of our first and one of our often questions is, what do you want? What do you really want in your life? And why does that matter? And it's a hard question. It's an elusive question for many. First of all, it's amazing how many people haven't really stopped to actually think about what it is that they want. And I think that goes to what you said about, or, you know, like 95% of the people you talk to just really, they're not happy, right? You're not happy. One of the big reasons is like, you have no idea what you want. And so you're just kind of getting up and going and reacting and no plan in place, right?
But, you know, to give it, but what I try to explain to them is, you want to give yourself clarity, choose to be happy. First, choose to be happy. Then identify. Everything in life is a choice. I don't care what anybody says. We're here right now because of the choices we made. If you're not making the choices that are bringing you to that position of being a champion or being a leader, then start making different choices. It's never too late. But I think, you know, when I say find out what you're not, so change your physiology, smile, choose to be happy in that moment, and then ask yourself, well, if this friend is holding you back and that friend is toxic, in a very nice way, just say, look, I've got to move on. I can't hang out with you anymore. If you're going to a bar 3 times a week and you're waking up with a hangover every day and it makes you feel miserable, stay away from that bar. When you start removing the toxic thoughts and what brings toxicity into your life, that gives you clarity. So to find out who you really are and who you want to be, it's impossible to me. And again, I'm not a scientist, but I could tell you through experience. Yeah. I could not find out where I was going until I found out what I no longer wanted in my life. Then all of a sudden I realized I want this in my life. This is the journey I want to be on. Why? Because I found it and I thought it through clearly. When people are stuck, when people are truly stuck and they like I said, they can't even define happiness, there's no clarity there. That's just chaotic noise, which society feeds us. Let's face it. Shut off the news, you know, stop streaming Netflix and get serious with yourself and see where you want to move with the rest of your life and where you want to be. It's a journey. What is that journey going to be? Are you going to just exist and look back and have regrets? Or are you actually going to be a champion, become a leader, and look back and say, I had no regrets?
Yeah. So what's your vision? I know you talked to like a championship level leader has to have vision. That's a huge, and I 100% agree with that. There has to be this vision, and this vision has to be painted to those that you're leading or that are following you. So what is your vision for where you're headed and where you're going?
My vision is to I'm going to have, I am going to have a very successful podcast. I am going to have a very successful digital marketing agency, which I'm a partner in right now. And it was only 6 months ago, that I made that investment, and we've taken it to great lengths. But I want to utilize these tools. My vision, again, is to change lives for the better. My vision is to take people from chaos to calm. That vision of knowing that if I can affect, just like I said, as many lives as possible, to where I am bringing them from a state of chaos, or the zombies walking around all day, to their 9-to-5 jobs, absolutely miserable, waking up, no enthusiasm, just going to get the day over with, coming home, eating dinner, laying on that couch and streaming Netflix. That's not a life. That's not a life. But people, it's amazing how people are so comfortable being uncomfortable. So my vision is to make people become comfortable, as uncomfortable as possible. Being in an uncomfortable state. Because when you are uncomfortable, that's where the magic lies. That's where it becomes exciting, because that means you're taking chances, you're taking risks, you're being vulnerable. And one of the biggest mistakes is people are not vulnerable enough, and people do not take the risk. They're listening to people telling them that can't be done. Look, people don't want, not everybody wants to see you succeed, right? So
Right.
what other people think is none of your business. So my vision ties into all of that. It's to making them understand it's only you that is going to make you a leader from the beginning, because you've got to get into that mindset of being a leader. You've got to get into that mindset of becoming a champion, and nothing is going to stand in your way. Even if you've got to break yourself in half, you are going to adapt and you are going to move forward, and there's nothing is going to stop you, because you are on, like I said, you are on a journey. It's good to set a goal. I never set one goal. I set multiple goals. A lot of people hit a goal and they're like, I did it. And then all of a sudden, what happens? They go right back into that state of complacency again.
Yep.
It's got to be a never-ending journey, and that's what I want to put as many people on as possible.
I love that. And so you're going to do that through your podcast, like you said.
Podcasts.
You got a book coming out.
I'm sorry?
You're working on a book as well, right?
Yes, I'm working on a book.
Yeah. What's the name of the book going to be?
It's going to be BAM. How to move from chaos to calm.
Beautiful.
So it's very raw, and like I said, it's just how I did it, how I was brought into the depth of darkness when it was literally right after the best 6 years of my career, where I was crushing it. There was a lot of passion. I have a wife and 3 children. It was awesome, but there were 3 years of my life where I couldn't get out of my own way. I couldn't get out of my own way because that passion was sucked out of me. So having the podcast, coming out with the book, building the digital marketing agency, all of that is very important. But I want it to be a medium by which, if people truly do want to take ownership of their life, if they want to become their own bosses, if they want to start working online, I want to have the resources available. I don't want to just tell them what to do and then have nothing to provide them with. I'm going to have all the tools to guide them. So that's what really makes it exciting, knowing that I'm going to be armed with that. I already am armed with that. We just have not launched that part of it yet. Yeah,
no, I love it. And so, well, let's talk about it. So talk about these, the dark days that you had, what I would guess is the chaos, right? That's the part of the story. So what were you going through at that time? Because I think those times, those moments, when we hear these stories, because we all have our own chaos, we all have our own dark times, and it helps when you hear others, because it allows them to realize that, man, like, that guy's story is just like mine. Like, I'm not alone. Like, but he made it through it, and here he is. I'm listening to him. He's on this podcast. Like, yes.
And Nate, there were times where I didn't think I was going to make it through. I really didn't. I really did not.
Like,
So
you weren't going to make it through, like you might die.
No, like it's like the panic attacks, the
Okay.
anxiety attacks,
Yeah.
I mean, there was just no clarity. Like I wasn't thinking straight. You know, what's crazy is that when you're in those dark times, you start creating stories that aren't even true.
Yeah.
Yet they're true to you because you keep telling yourself that. You know, the mind is powerful, and I even tell my own children, be careful of what you think, and be careful of what you think of yourself and what you tell yourself. Your mind believes everything you tell it. It doesn't know whether it's real or fake. It's what you're telling your mind. And you know, when I was going through this stage, I mean, I was just so in 2012, when me and my team were paid no bonus, no bonus. Thank God I lived my life right, because
Yeah.
but it went on for 4 years. I stayed in that place for 4 years. And it wasn't until I just completely, I hit a wall. And Nate, never in my life would I have ever allowed myself to feel like a victim. But it was at that point, it was like a lightning bolt struck me. I was like, I'm not a victim. No way. I take ownership. This is my life. Nobody's responsible for my life but me.
Yep.
And that's what people have to understand. The struggles.
Was there something that happened in that moment, or was it just kind of like you just?
I called myself. I blamed the corporate world for it.
Okay.
And you know what? Blame is bullshit.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as blame. You can't blame people for anything. Life is not easy. It will never be easy. If it were easy, it would be boring.
Yep.
But if people woke up and they understood, and this is what I did. I said, look, this isn't easy. I had it. I built it. It's gone. There's nothing I can do about it. But what I said to myself was, okay, where are you going to direct your passion? Where are you going to become that person that you once were? And I said, you know what? I'm not going to become that person I once was. I'm going to become a better version of that person I was, you know? And I had to do it by taking responsibility. And I'll tell you, it was not an easy road. It was tough. I never brought my feelings home if I had a bad, never. But it started in the morning, woke up with a pit in my stomach, went to work, sat there, tried to justify my existence at a job that was I never called it a job. Never called it a job. And I was miserable. I wasn't eating right. The only thing is I kept working out. I never stopped working out. Never. And that was the only, I would say, 50, 60 minutes of my day where I had some peace of mind. But I can't even say that was every day. Some workouts, I just stopped in the middle of my workout, which I never did before because I couldn't even keep my mind right. And my body was being affected. So your mind and your body are so interconnected. It's incredible. I mean, it's just constant neurosystems moving against each other. It's energy. When that energy becomes a conflict with one another, that's what put me down the rabbit hole. That's when I felt like I was in quicksand. And I just said to myself, I have to make a choice and I have to take action on it. And I was on vacation with my wife and my family. Me and my wife were, it was at night after dinner. The kids were in the room. And I just turned to her and I said, I'm done. I didn't say with what, but somehow she knew and she goes, I know you are. Walked in, laid down my pen, walked out, and I said, now I truly have ownership of my life. Now I am in the position where I am putting everything I have on the line because I am not a victim. I'm taking responsibility. I'm going to make sure that my mind stays right, change my mindset, moved forward, and now I created a vision for myself and I understand the journey that I want to be on. And without that, if I did not make that switch, I don't know where I would be today. I don't even know if I would be able to be sitting here talking to you today.
Yeah. And how long ago was that?
That was 2012 to 2015. It was
Okay.
four horrible years.
Yeah.
4 horrible years. And it was a pretty quick turnaround when it came once I identified. Hey, look. Let me put it to you like. Let me give you a really good example about how people. You got to get the victim mentality out and take responsibility.
Yeah.
Your car's parked in a parking lot. Somebody comes along and hits your car. Right? Yeah, you're pissed off. You feel like a victim. You're a victim of hit and run. But you know what? You still are responsible for getting that car fixed. You're still responsible for calling the insurance company. You are responsible. No matter what happens in your life, if you understand that no matter what struggles or obstacles, you are responsible for coming up with the solutions. It's your responsibility. Then you can never blame. You can never complain. And once you get rid of the complaining and once you get rid of the blaming and you really do take on that full responsibility, that's when you become a champion and a leader. That's what this is all about. And that darkness turned me into a better version than who I was. And I thought I was a pretty good version of myself.
Right. Yeah.
But apparently I wasn't, because when it hit, look, we're all vulnerable, but you have to be transparent with yourself. And I wasn't transparent with myself. I kept thinking it was going to get better and better without me taking action. There's no such thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
No such thing.
Yeah, let's talk real quick. So, and maybe this was through those 3-4 years that you went through that chaos in your personal life, or maybe it's another time. But who are one or two championship leaders that you've had, mentors, coaches that might have impacted your life, just like Bill Belichick or some of the great NFL coaches? They are always learning. They're always going out to other programs, even in the college levels, to see what they can learn to continue to stay relevant, as well as to continue to expand and grow. Do you have one or two championship level leaders in your life that you can think of that have helped you on that path?
When I got into the online world, and I got very involved with a company called ClickFunnels. Watching a guy like Russell Brunson, who's the CEO of ClickFunnels. In that group, I was following a gentleman who I actually made my mentor, and his story was so unique because only 4 years prior to me becoming his mentor, he was homeless. He was literally living in an electrical closet, and he built an empire. He has an empire right now that is massive. He's a keynote speaker. He's a coach. He's a 7-figure funnel builder. For those who don't know what that is, it's how people build their online businesses, whether it's affiliate marketing, drop shipping, e-commerce, no matter what it is. He perfects funnels and helps people and takes people to 7 figures to get them to that, to Comic Club Award. And he was the greatest. He was a great inspiration because he never gave up. I mean, he just went to the point of which that's a true rags to riches story. I'm not a rag to riches story. I mean, back from college into the corporate world, that was a rag to riches story. But, today I wouldn't consider myself that, nor would I make believe I am. I would never be that way. But, I look at people like Elon Musk. Elon Musk took home $180 million after he built PayPal. He reinvested that whole $180 million. $100 million into Tesla, $60 million into SpaceX, $20 million into Solar City. Then he's borrowing money to pay rent. To me, that's a visionary. To me, that's a leader. To me, that's a champion, because if most people, if they were given $180 million net after taxes, after selling an enormous business that they built from scratch, they'd probably put that money away and retire and sit on the beach forever. Not him. He's on a journey. Those people are on a journey. So I like to look, read about, and listen to the type of people who always want to stay on that journey. I don't know if you're familiar with Tom Bilyeu. Tom Bilyeu, he has a great story. How he went to USC and he was in movie school and he completely bombed his dissertation. And then all of a sudden these guys are like, hey, listen, we know you're hungry, everything else. We'd like you to we don't even have a title for you. Just take care of this stuff while we do this. We have a business. And all of a sudden Quest Nutrition becomes a multi-billion-dollar corporation. And he was mainly responsible for it. Staying on a journey, having a vision, wanting to be the best version of themselves. So that's where this, what's crazy, Nate, you talk about guys like Bill Belichick. What if Bill Belichick stayed in Cleveland? What if Bill Belichick didn't move to, New England Patriots? But it's through the most difficult times in your life that you truly find out who you are and what you want. That's one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is the majority. And that's what breaks my heart. And that's why I want to reach so many people. Because when they hit their lowest point, when they hit their darkest, they don't see any hope. They don't believe that they have it within them, that burning passion and that burning desire to move on and to get themselves on the path that's going to take them to the life that they want to create.
Yeah, I love that, Mario. And thanks for sharing that. Let's wrap this up with this last piece here. I'm talking to you 3 years from now. Where do you see yourself being? Like, how many lives do you see yourself impacting? And where do you see your life? Coming back to that vision.
That's an awesome question because it's something my wife asked me at dinner last night.
I love it.
I'm going to give you exactly what I have. A vision board in my head. I want to be speaking in the biggest stadium, but not just standing on stage, walking down and engaging with as many people. If there's 100,000 people in that stadium, I'm going to talk to as many people as possible personally and engage with them. That is where I see myself in 3 years. And that's where I want to be. That's where I'm going to get. And if you want something bad enough and you really do have a burning desire and you really do have passion, you're going to get there. And that's what I want to instill in people. Everybody's born with motivation, Nate. If somebody is chasing you with a knife, what would you do? You'd run.
I'd protect myself.
That's motivation. Yeah. It's like people, even educators to children at a young age, they use it wrong. If a child did something bad, they say, "What motivated you to do that?" Really? So I want to inspire people to take action and execute on the motivation that they were born with and move forward and find their passion. And in 3 years, I hope it's millions of people.
I love it. That's great. Yeah, I mean, Bill Belichick doesn't start the season saying that he wants to make the playoffs. Like, he talks about their one and only goal is to win the Super Bowl. And for you, it's to be in a stadium with 100,000 people and engaging with as many and impacting as many people.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. That's a great place to stop. And I just appreciate you taking the time again to be on the Championship Leadership Podcast.
Nate, it was an absolute pleasure
to watch you grow and fill those stadiums. So thank you, Mario.
And I look forward to it. And I look forward to being back on, and especially in 3 years. We're gonna have a good discussion.
Absolutely. And I'd love to be on your show as well. So
absolutely.
Have a great day, Mario. Thank you.
You too. Thank you, sir.